What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, August 27th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 17:23 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you on the situation with the CIA director going to Russia and a potential Russian attack on NATO in the coming weeks. So Bild, the German newspaper, is reporting that the U.S. CIA director will report the results of his meeting with Russian intelligence to Trump, and that Sergei Narishkin, which is the CIA director's counterpart in Russia, will report the results of the meeting to Putin. And the U.S. CIA director was sent to Moscow because the discussions concerned not ordinary diplomacy, but highly sensitive security issues and the direct communication of red lines. So that is major breaking news being reported by Bild, confirming that this was not just a normal diplomatic meeting, that they conveyed U.S. red lines to the Russians related to NATO. And Politico and the Wall Street Journal both reported that the CIA director visited Moscow primarily to warn Russia not to attack NATO. And you could see the headline right here yesterday in the Wall Street Journal: CIA chief's surprise Moscow trip was to warn Russia not to attack NATO. Now, today, Trump made comments about this. He was asked by reporters what the purpose of the meeting was and whether Russia was planning to attack NATO, and he basically shrugged it off and downplayed it. He basically said that Putin is not going to attack NATO. He said it's fake news, that the media is pushing fake news out about this meeting, and that this was just an ordinary meeting and that they periodically meet every couple of months, which is not true. So guys, get prepared, because when Russia invades NATO, when they attack the Baltics and Poland, all hell is going to break loose. And now is the perfect time for Russia to do this, because the U.S. has depleted all of its critical air defense missiles fighting against Iran, and Ukraine has depleted all of their missiles. So it's a perfect time. Also, NATO and Trump don't get along. Trump and the Europeans are not getting along, and Trump has signaled in the past that he would not really help NATO that much, if at all, if they ever got attacked. Okay, so perfect timing for Putin to make his move. And guys, this is not just speculation. We have solid evidence that Russia is planning to attack the Baltics and Poland in the coming weeks. The main piece of evidence that we have is that Russia started putting their reserves on high alert in Kaliningrad, and they also started mobilizing in Kaliningrad. So why would you be mobilizing and calling up reserves in a part of Russia that is nowhere near Ukraine? Okay, it's right next to Poland and Lithuania. It makes no sense. Unless you're planning to attack Poland or Lithuania, there's no other reason why you would call up reserves in Kaliningrad. And Delphi, a Baltic media outlet, reported today that the Baltic states are raising concerns about a potential Russian attack, and that the Baltic states have sent an urgent appeal to the head of the EU. Okay, so the Baltic countries have officially appealed to the EU, saying, look, Russia's about to attack us, we need help. Okay. Also, we have very concerning information coming out of Russian media. So Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, was apparently urgently flown to Russia for talks with Putin and Mishustin. Mishustin is the Russian prime minister. So this is very, very concerning. Okay, look back at the last 2 weeks at all the things we've been seeing. The nuclear war exercise here in the U.S. 2 weeks ago. Nuclear warplanes and doomsday planes in the air over the U.S. every single day since that exercise. Even today, we have the CIA director making an unplanned trip in the middle of the night to Russia. Now we have the president of Belarus, literally not even 48 hours after the CIA director left Moscow, the president of Belarus. Belarus borders Poland and the Baltics, and Russia has staged up a lot of equipment there. That country's president is now meeting with Putin directly for an urgent meeting. So something is going on, guys, okay? And this afternoon, right now, we have a large number of U.S. nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. We currently have 4 E-6B Mercuries in the air over the continental United States, which is very unusual. The last time I've seen this many up in the air over the U.S. at the same time was probably during the Biden administration. Even when we were bombing Iran a few months ago, when we were bombing the Houthis, when we dropped the bombs on the mountains in Iran with the stealth bombers, we didn't have this many nuclear war command and control planes in the air. I think we had 3 at the most. We haven't seen anything like this since the Iran-Israel war during the Biden administration, when Iran launched like 500 missiles at Israel. That's the last time I can remember this many nuclear warplanes up in the air. So this is very serious. We had the same thing happen yesterday, the day before. Also, there's a doomsday plane that took off from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and went to Strategic Command Headquarters. And we also have a nuke sniffer plane. The nuke sniffer plane can detect radiation in the atmosphere. The doomsday plane is for the president. The president can command the entire U.S. military from the doomsday plane. And the Boeing E-6B Mercuries are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. They're like flying radio antennas, essentially. And we are hearing that Trump was briefed on the CIA director's meeting in Moscow yesterday. And during this briefing, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that's the top U.S. general, General Dan Kane, was present at this briefing. Also, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, was there as well. So it had to be something serious if you have all the top dogs of the U.S. military and intelligence and the president in one room discussing this meeting in Russia, okay? John Ratcliffe, CIA director, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of the Military, Dan Kane, the top military advisor to Trump, and then Trump himself, okay? This wasn't a normal diplomatic meeting, regardless of what Trump tells you. And the Russian Foreign Ministry warned today that Russia may carry out strikes on British military targets in Ukraine and outside of Ukraine in response to Ukrainian attacks on Russia with British missiles, okay? So there you have it. Now, the other day we had the major breaking news that Britain was going to start exporting licenses to Ukraine so Ukraine can domestically produce the British Storm Shadow missiles, okay, and basically the technology transfer. And Russia warned not to do that, and now they're saying that they're going to strike Britain. Okay, this is huge news, guys. Get ready, get prepared. And right after the CIA director left Moscow, Russian state media announced that Russia was preparing to carry out another test of the Burevestnik cruise missile. So this is the nuclear-powered cruise missile that has like an unlimited range. So very interesting. And we're hearing that in Belarus, close to the border of Ukraine, a new railway line was being built intended for transporting military equipment. So very interesting. And Russia has been sending large amounts of forces to the border with Ukraine north of Chernihiv. Circulating reports state there is a high chance that Russia or Belarus may open up a new front in the northern part of Ukraine in an attempt to escalate the war. So major breaking news there. And the Associated Press said the U.S. military is facing a beyond critical shortage of advanced missile interceptors in Europe. And this is exactly why Putin is going to attack now. He knows that the U.S. is low on critical interceptors. He knows that the Europeans don't have enough interceptors themselves, and they're reliant on the U.S. So the U.S. is not just going to send thousands of Patriot missiles to Europe that it doesn't have anymore, that they used in the Middle East in the last few months. Plus, like I said, Trump and the Europeans don't get along, so Trump's not going to be rushing to help the Europeans, okay? And the New York Times reported that the CIA director shared his assessment of the state of the Russian war against Ukraine during his visit to Moscow and urged the Russians to cut a deal before their military and economic situation gets worse. And U.S. intelligence reports that that 3 drones found at the Leipzig airport in Germany had explosives, and they were apparently devices used by Russia's GRU. Wow, so Russian intelligence put 3 drones, or they had 3 drones flying around the Leipzig airport with explosives. Insane. And on August 19th, Italian and Turkish fighter jets deployed in Lithuania and Estonia conducted training on countering drones that might appear in the airspace of the Baltic states. So now NATO is actively shooting down Russian drones that are flying into NATO airspace. I mean, it's happening now almost every other day. There was just a drone that was found in Moldova, drones in Romania, drone in Latvia, drone in Finland. I mean, they're just, Russia's sending drones all the time now into European airspace, okay? And Keith Kellogg, the former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, said that Witkoff and Kushner lack grasp of war's human complexities, Russia's capabilities, and ground realities. He noted Russia pushed him out because they saw him as too pro-Ukraine, leading to the newcomers who haven't visited Ukraine but have gone to Russia taking lead roles. Kellogg warns that negotiators treating talks like business deals with Putin risk missing Ukrainian perspectives amid ongoing fights over areas like the Donbass. And a U.S. source told Al Jazeera that no negotiations with Iran are underway or scheduled, and the naval blockade remains fully in effect. And the Houthis launched a drone attack on the Saudi oil terminal in Yanbu on the Red Sea coast. The attack was repulsed by Greek air defenses, so this is critical. Yanbu is where the east-west pipeline terminates on the Red Sea. Okay, if you don't know what the east-west pipeline is, that's the pipeline that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. It goes through the middle of Saudi Arabia from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. So the Houthis are now trying to attack this pipeline. And remember, Iran warned that if we went through with the economic D-Day initiatives to destroy Iran's economy, then they were going to retaliate by attacking Strait of Hormuz oil bypasses. Okay, so they attacked the Yanbu terminal. The Houthis did it. So this is introduction of what's to come. Okay, Iran is going to start attacking that more. And if that ever goes down, our oil prices will really skyrocket, because that's the only way right now to get oil out of the Persian Gulf. And Iran attacked more ships last night and this afternoon. And Trump is rejecting a return to the June U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding and is instead betting that tighter economic pressure will force Tehran to make concessions. And the Iranian president said, "We did not start the war, we defended ourselves." Interesting. And Israeli fighter jets struck the village of Nabatiyeh in southern Lebanon. So Israel is still striking southern Lebanon. And the Trump administration is in talks with Venezuela's interim government about taking an ownership stake in the South American country's enormous oil resources. The historic deal would more than double U.S. oil reserves by drawing from a country that has the world's largest proven reserves. So we'll have to wait and see if that deal actually goes through. It's definitely not going to be enough to offset the losses from the Strait of Hormuz being closed. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live update. I haven't done a live update in a few days. I'm just taking a little bit of a break. We have our local fair here, so I'm just trying to enjoy the last days of summer. But I am monitoring the situation, and I still have my 24/7 live stream running. So make sure you check out my 24/7 stream for continuing updates and to listen to our nuclear forces. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.